Do you feel like you should be exercising but can't seem to get motivated? Maybe you aren't sure what to do, or exercise is a bad word in your mind. Well, fitness coach Miranda Mathewson is offering a free 30-day exercise challenge in which she will guide you to create a healthy and consistent exercise habit that fits neatly into your already busy lives in a fun and simple way. It kicks off this Monday, February 16th, and you can sign up today at tinyurl.com/30 days of exercise.
Savvy Central Radio, drawing out the best from our guests, with host Christina Nichman.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Savvy Central Radio. This is your host, Christina Nichman. Each week on Savvy, we host successful individuals and business owners, inviting them to share their dreams, stories, wisdom, and lessons learned in their field of business. Our guests today are Debi Berndt and Dr. Robert Maldonado. Debi Berndt is the Chief Love Officer and CEO of Creative Mind Media, LLC, a personal development company that transforms people's lives through live trainings and multimedia online courses. She is also the author of the best-selling book, Let Love In, Open Your Heart and Mind to Attract Your Ideal Partner. Dr. Robert Maldonado is the co-founder and Chief Creative Officer, CCO of Creative Mind Media. Robert is recognized internationally as a human behavior and relationship expert. Debi and her partner, Dr. Robert Maldonado, have developed a system based on Jungian psychology and Eastern philosophy that helps people consciously create the life they desire. Today our talk will be on money mastery and eliminating inner obstacles. To find out more about Debi and Dr. Robert Maldonado, go to creativelove.com. Hi, Debi. Hi, Robert. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Well, welcome to Savvy Central Radio for our Wealth and Prosperity Month. I'm excited to have you guys out here. Guys from the Savvy audience, I don't know if you know, but Debi was my first mentor that really helped my business get up and going. And if it wasn't for her, today I would not be doing what I'm doing at Savvy Central Radio. So thank you so much, Debi.
Oh, you're welcome. You sound awesome. So many great things since we've spoken. So I'm really excited to see what you've created.
Well, me too. You guys have some exciting things coming up. You are working on a new money course, which is going to be exciting for our audience. But before we get started, because some of our audience might not have tuned into our first interview together and definitely didn't meet Robert, explain a little bit about your journey, what led to where you are today and creating creativelove.com.
I started my journey for personal development actually looking for love and looking for my true love. And I kept really finding the wrong answers, and the search just took so long because I kept thinking something was wrong with me and that something was broken inside, like everything was about healing myself and therapy. And then when I finally worked on the unconscious level, I went to become a hypnotherapist. I realized that there's more to me than just my conscious mind. And so I started to really explore who I was on a deep level and started to look beneath the surface. And I found what was stopping me in finding love. And I met Robert. And then the two of us joined forces in 2012 to create Creative Love. But I'll let him talk about his background because his background is more impressive than mine.
Yeah, I'll tell you my side of the story.
Okay. I hypnotized him.
No, it was, for me, it was a little bit different. I'm a psychologist by training, but have really now adopted the coaching model, and I don't do therapy anymore either. So my journey really began with reading Jung very early on. Carl Jung really gave me a kind of a sense that we could approach the mind in a very different way than kind of our everyday understanding of the psyche. So this idea of the unconscious mind was always first and foremost in all the training that I did in psychology. When I met Debi, then we started to talk about relationships and abundance and how these new ideas that were being tossed around in the popular culture, what did they mean psychologically, and was there any way that we could teach people kind of in a process way to really understand these things in a psychological way, so that they weren't necessarily just dealing with abstract concepts, but they could really put them to work in their life, in relationships and in business. Kind of that's what we're up to these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so important. Deborah, I know you just mentioned the fixing, and I know a lot of us women go through that, especially in the self-help industry. We go looking for a billion different books and workshops, continually looking for that, how do I fix myself or fix what's going on, without realizing whatever we do, practical measures to fix the outside, unless we start working on the inside, things don't really change. Which brings me to my next question. Why do you think the biggest challenge for some people is attracting money? What stops them from attracting money, wealth, prosperity into their life?
Well, I think there's one major misunderstanding is that they think the money that comes to them is out of their control and outside of them. And the money is just actually an effect of the mind. It's a reflection of what's going on inside. And I think a lot of people feel like there's a separate process going on, that, you know, some people have good luck, some people don't. If you work really hard, you can get money. And really it's the money that comes up in your life. And actually the amount doesn't matter, because what you think about it is a relationship to your mind. And so, for example, if someone has $1 million, they could still feel poor. So that you could see that it's not the money that's actually giving them anything. It's what their mind thinks about money. And so it's the same thing with attracting money. If your mind is holding this idea of lack and an idea that it's outside of me and outside of my control, that's what you'll experience in life. So what we do is we help people see it's the reverse. Like the money's just the feedback. And then you look at the feedback and say, what is my mind telling me about money, and how can I go inside and make the shift? And then the money situation will change.
So basically, anything you are witnessing on the outside, don't blame it, because there's something on the inside that's causing what you're witnessing or experiencing on the outside.
Yes, the cause is internal. The external is just the effect. And what people try to do is fix the effect, and they're not looking at the cause. The true cause is inside of themselves.
That's fascinating. And there's so many causes. I think for me, which was very interesting, I had a breakdown about 2 years ago. When I had first started selling for my business, I had gone through a number of free coaching calls or, consulting calls to get people interested in my services, of which they didn't continue. And it was one day someone called me and said, I really, really want to work with you. I want to do some advertising on Savvy. And he kind of bullied me into having him on the show and doing advertising. And I said yes. And when I thought about it, I felt horrible afterward. And I realized that the real reason I said yes, when I thought about what was going on in my mind, was I wanted to please him. I wanted to be nice. And that was like the breaking point for me, that I cried for that evening. And the next 4 people I spoke to that week, I sealed the deal and made the sale.
Yay!
Yay! So what might be some of the other reasons that prevent people from that mind chatter that will stop them from going forward in abundance and wealth?
Yeah, a lot of it is unconscious, or maybe most of it. Because externally or consciously, we have a story. We all know where we come from, the way we were raised. And if you ask a person, they'll tell you kind of what were the messages they received about money early on. And that awareness doesn't seem to change anything in the results that they get. Now, what we do in our process is we try to get at the hidden assumptions that underlie those stories. So we know, for example, that conditioning is a powerful influence in human affairs. The way we're brought up, the way the implied messages that we get from our parents about money, and the implied messages we get from society about money, all go into our unconscious mind. if we do not take the time to examine those assumptions, then what they do is they regulate and dictate to us how successful we're going to be with money. Once we're able to examine those things and really open up the unconscious mind and look at what's been there, what's been our deepest driving desire that we've held unconsciously, then we can start to change those things. And we change the results through that.
Wow. And you guys also teach about money shadow. What does this tie into what you're talking about, Robert?
Yes. Actually, when I first started doing hypnotherapy and, it's kind of the cognitive behavioral, like positive thinking. And there's a lot of that out there, like your core beliefs about money is what you need to change in order to get that shifted. Mm-hmm. And it worked okay for me. But what really shifted is the shadow is a Carl Jung's term. We do a lot of the work we do is based on Carl Jung's individuation process. Mm-hmm. And the shadow is basically the unconscious parts of us that we don't know are there, that are running our life. And it's not dark stuff. It's all like, it's not all dark stuff. It's all things that aren't acceptable, that we've conditioned ourselves to be, how we fit in with everyone else. The things that don't fit in will go into the shadow. So for example, if you grew up like in a middle-class family that was saying that, rich people are bad and all those things, you're conscious of that, right? You're conscious that, oh yeah, my parents talked about that all the time. I must have something, that chatter about wealthy people. Mm-hmm. Or you may even be conscious that you're triggered by them or judging them. But the shadow is really what you don't know that's running that story. Like why are rich people bad? Like, so you have to go a little deeper. And for me, that made all the difference. So anyone listening to this call that's done belief work around money and says, okay, it still didn't change. It's not what you're conscious of. It's not the story, but the why, like Robert said. And a lot of times our persona or our personality there's no room for wealth in that personality. There's like, you see yourself as this maybe small, insignificant person that's doing, working daily life. Mm-hmm. How could the abundant, massive, successful person that has millions fit into that little persona? And so if it doesn't fit, it goes into the shadow. It stays in the unconscious. So, we could do like hours of calls on the shadow, but that's essentially what it is. It's these parts that don't fit into our life. And the reason we deny these parts of us being so ability to have wealth or abundance or unlimited potential is because for some reason our ego or our persona finds that it's dangerous in some way. And so we have to examine why. Like, why can't we break the pattern of this personality? What makes us hang on to this personality? Why do we feel secure playing small? Those are the bigger questions. And that's what we work with the money shadow.
And I'm guessing your 2-day upcoming course is going to really focus and go deeply on a lot of these issues, correct?
Yes, we're doing a course. We do this program for love called Get Engaged in a Year. Mm-hmm. And so we're actually doing a version for money and your purpose, because we know that wealth comes through, true wealth comes through really doing what you love and not just making more money. If you're in a career that you get paid by someone else, you can still make more money doing what you do. So there's no limit in that way. But we find that people really aren't connected to their passions. And so this is a course that we're doing virtually. And then with the course, you get a 2-day live event that we're doing here in California, Southern California. We haven't officially named it yet. We're playing around with some names, but we have, it's basically going to be about unlimited wealth and defining your purpose through your money shadow.
It sounds totally fascinating. I want you to let the audience know, we're going to also come back to this, let them know how they can get in contact with you guys and find out more about these upcoming events and join.
They could just go to creativelove.com, and there's actually a little form right on the page. You can sign up for our newsletter and get some free videos and audios and some downloads. We have some meditations. Even if you're not single and you're in a relationship, our work will apply to you, because the relationship with the other person is all about yourself. So the more you know about yourself, we have a lot of people that stumble upon us after they meet someone or they're dating someone and they realize, wow, I learned, even if I'm not out there looking for love, I could really find out a lot about myself. So don't let the title fool you.
Yeah, and that's very fascinating, Deb and Robert, because if I recall, Jung often mentioned that the dreams that we have, we think are about different people, but actually everyone in the dream is really all about you. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, his dream interpretation it's a big part of our work. And really, we see it as the ability to tap into our unconscious mind. And here Jung talks about the collective unconscious, which means that it's not just our personal stuff that we've kind of thrown in there and repressed. The collective unconscious really gives us access to a universal mind that is the source of creativity, abundance, wealth, love. So it's really an incredible concept, and the dreams really are a way for us to receive the messages that come from that part of our mind. Then through visualizations, we're able to talk back to the unconscious mind. So we create that two-way communication. It speaks through dreams. We speak back to it through our visualization.
And that's great. Me and Deborah worked on visualization when we were working together. Explain for our audience who might not understand how visualization can play a role in attracting money, how that all works.
Well, a lot of people, visualization is great because, like Rob says, you're communicating to the unconscious. You're giving it a message. There are two types of visualizations. Some people just listen to going to get rich visualizations and dancing around in their mansions and all that stuff and driving their sports car. And that's one way to visualize, and you're telling the unconscious, hey, this is what I want. There's also a higher level of visualization, which is more interactive, where you're actually interacting in the visualization with parts of your unconscious and actually working with them and molding them so you're getting feedback from the unconscious in the visualization as you're working. So it's kind of like a waking dream. The dream state is more like, let's just give you feedback, and then we're kind of talking with the visualization. So if you do this more advanced level of visualization where it's an interactive way to work, you're actually getting both the benefits of both. So it's like a dialogue versus like people listening to you now on the radio, they're listening to like one-way communication. So if we like you and I, Robert, I, and you are having this discussion, which is more valuable than someone just listening in. So the unconscious is a part of you that you're like building a relationship with. And a lot of people think the unconscious, or they refer to it as the subconscious, which is more programming. Mm-hmm. And we're so much more than just a tape recorder, And when I went to hypnotherapy school, there was a lot of that, like just reprogramming. And there's a lot of that out there in the wealth generation movement, people that talk about rewiring your brain and all those things. It's such a limited way. Really what you want to do is make your unconscious, the collective, that powerful part of you, a partner in your creating your life. And that's really kind of taking it from just programming a robot in your brain to just do. You're actually becoming a part of a creation of something new and getting feedback and playing around. And it becomes a really valuable experience and rewarding.
It seems very empowering and non-victim mode, because I'm gathering from just doing the one of visualization is awesome. You get to see and maybe feel, taste inside your vision of your future life, but you're not playing with your subconscious and really getting to know it and figure, having a conversation with it, which allows you to be more of a non-victim.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Well, often people talk about changing their brain waves or patterns to attract money, which you kind of just talked about. Why does that really work?
Or does it really work?
Does it really work? And I'm beginning to think maybe not.
I think it works, but we have to think this through. Really, any thought we have is an electrochemical interaction in our brain. Anything, literally anything. As we're speaking, our brain is activating electrochemical signals in the neurons. And so to say that this somehow is what is creating our reality, well, it's pretty obvious, right? If every thought is an electrochemical interaction, then of course thinking, dreaming, visualizing, anything will be a neurological event. Mm-hmm. So often what I hear people say, it sounds very sexy and kind of very upscale scientific, but it's not really saying anything new. Anytime you learn something new, you're restructuring your brain patterns. So to say that some special technique is really rewiring your brain is not saying much at all. It's just simply saying you're learning something.
That's great information, because I've heard a number of programs out there promise you will totally rewire your entire brain. You'll be bringing in all the money like you wouldn't believe. And a lot of them come from the perspective of the law of attraction, which I'm sure a lot of our listeners are aware of. But your work also centers more on not the law of attraction, but the law of perception. What exactly is this, and how does that work?
Well, the law of attraction is kind of misleading because since we're one with everything, everything's a reflection of you. You're not actually pulling in and like a magnet attracting things into your life. What happens is that the light of consciousness is inside you, reflected out like a projector, is projecting a movie on the screen. Mm-hmm. It's the movie and the film is inside the projector. It's not on the screen. So a lot of people have this perception that something's out there, on the screen. And so if we think of ourselves that way, you got to change. It's not like there's something out there that you have to pull in. When we say perception, when you change that inner film strip, what happens is the light of your consciousness shines out, and that's the world you see. So it's a perception versus an attraction. Like there's something separate from you that you're bringing out. And, I could see a lot of people think, oh, that's sexy. Like I was taught the law of attraction. Actually, it was called the law of correspondence, is that out there reflects inside. But again, think about watching a film on a movie projector, filming out. That's your life. You are the projector. You have the film. You have the light. You have the mechanism. And out there is like this illusion that it's outside of you. And so if you remember that, like for me, anytime I had stress with money, I just remembered this one idea, is that it's inside me, and it gives you a sense of peace and power. And if you feel like it's outside of you, that's where everyone feels insecure and they're scared, and they feel like there's some other fate besides them, a power outside that's willing them to be poor, or karma or whatever. It's all inside of you, and you can turn it around. And I know for us, we like quadrupled our income within a couple months by a shift that we made internally. So we didn't change any of our marketing or do anything different. It was something internally that shifted. And I'm sure, like you said, with your sales, right? You shifted something internally, and then the perception changed, and the people came that needed your services. So it's really just an inside job, and we constantly are seeing out there when you're a business owner, you're always thinking that it's outside of you, and you have to keep reminding yourself. It's almost like you have to listen to something every day to remind you that you are the power in your life.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And a good point to bring up right now, Deb, because I know for me, I've often heard the law of attraction, and it's kind of irked me because I'm like, it sounds like you're pulling it to you, as you said. And really, when I would listen to what law of attraction experts would say, they would say, well, really, you're everything. You're the beginning and the end. It's all coming from you. But the whole meaning or the name of law of attraction would insinuate otherwise, that it's being pulled into you, not part of you. Mm-hmm. So I like the law of perception a lot better. The whole idea makes a lot more sense and gives you a lot more power in your life.
And it's in alignment with the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. How can people really be wealthy as they desire, or is it fate involved? I don't think it is from our talk right now, but
can anybody be wealthy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jung says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will think it's fate. So what he was saying is that until you are able to examine those assumptions that you're making unconsciously and really bring them up to consciousness, what's going to happen is you're going to experience your life as yourself as powerless in the equation. Life is happening to you, and there's not much you can do. You simply think that's just the way it worked out for me, and there's nothing I can do. But if you, by the same token, if you are able to examine the unconscious mind, then you can take the reins of your life and create the kind of life that you want. And if that includes wealth and abundance, that is very permissible and really what most of us desire to create. We also want to create out of not out of need and lack or out of fear, but out of really the desire to express our higher principles. Right? It's not about just accumulating money just so that we can feel secure. It's really about being able to express the fullness of our life. All our creativity, all our dreams, they're there for a reason. We have those desires and those dreams for a reason. And money simply becomes then a tool so that we can express them to their fullest potential.
Anyone out there who feels that things are just happening to them and they want to make a huge shift in their now present circumstances, in their business, in their wealth, in their abundance, and feel empowered. Tell us again, guys, how we can get in touch with you and find out more about your upcoming 2-day event.
CreativeLove.com. It's all one word. And just sign up for the newsletter. And there's actually, we have a course we did last year. If people want to just do a home study, a small little course we did last year on money called The Spiritual Psychology of Money. But we're going to do an expansive one later on this spring that's going to be huge. And that includes the 2-day event. So it's going to be very exciting as we expand beyond love into, we've been doing wealth a lot with clients and abundance and purpose. And we just decided that we're going to finally come out of the closet and help everyone with it.
Yeah. As Robert just mentioned, it's a very important part. It's a tool. But as you guys have worked with David Nagel, he often says it becomes very important on the list of tools needed for life, because in this current society, you kind of need it to buy food, shelter, and all the other things that make things go around in your life. But instead of feeling like you are a victim to fate and not being able to make the life you want and wait for it to happen, you can now do something about creating the life of your dreams.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, both of you, for coming to Savvy Central Radio and sharing your wisdom and talent. And again, everyone, please go check out CreativeLove.com and find out how you can find out about all their wonderful courses. And they have some free videos and such they can check out as well. Yep. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming to Savvy Central Radio.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Take care.
There's some exciting changes coming this 2015 for Savvy. We'll start videocasting some of our interviews. Also, stay tuned for a new book presently being worked on by my co-author and I, Karen Rowe. We'll talk about how to bridge the gap from worker bee to business owner, and the lessons we've learned on our journey to entrepreneurship. In addition, this spring we'll start live interview opportunities in Manhattan, which will later be aired on iHeartRadio, a new mix to business networking and interviews. For those interested in participating as a paid sponsor or interviewee, contact us at 718-713-2289 or savvycentralradio@gmail.com. Here's to 2015 being the best year yet for all of us. Do you feel like you should be exercising but can't seem to get motivated? Maybe you aren't sure what to do, or exercise is a bad word in your mind. Well, fitness coach Miranda Mathewson is offering a free 30-day exercise challenge in which she will guide you to create a healthy and consistent exercise habit that fits neatly into your already busy lives in a fun and simple way. It kicks off this Monday, February 16th, and you can sign up today at tinyurl.com/30daysofexercise.